Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Double 18 Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Nagishi. Thank you for those who joined us earlier with my regular co-host, Ken Fang, and I did the live stream earlier. And as I promised, we're doing another live stream tonight with the one and only Rishab Skiri from DaWindyCIty Productions YouTube channel, and then my good friend who has been a regular now, Phillip Charles VanDerHeyden, who is the podcast of, what was the name of the podcast? Profanely what?
It is the Professionally Profane Podcast at Profane Pod on YouTube and on Twitter. And I appreciate that. I'm also
and then that's on Spotify as well, right?
Yes, also on Spotify, and then also Just Another Year Chicago Bulls on YouTube and Twitter.
He's doing everything.
All right, guys. All right. Now, normally we would start talking about the Chicago Bears draft here, but we're going to start off with a little bit of a different story here to start with, guys. Since all of us are Chicago sports freaks and listen to Chicago sports radios on and off, whether it's 670 The Score or, ESPN Chicago, those are, of course, the two main stations. Dan Bernstein got fired last Friday. He was suspended earlier last week at this time to start the week because he was, got into a Twitter beef with somebody over the fish that he caught. If you follow Dan Bernstein, he's an avid fisherman. We've seen him, post pictures of him going out and fish several times. And, he got into an argument over the size of the fish or whether he was going to catch or release. I don't know, whatever the reason was. And then he got upset and then it got into an argument. And then he was actually trying to dox the a guy and, his address and phone number. And then also decided to somehow get his children, the not Dan Bernstein's children, of course, but the children of the guy who was having a Twitter beef with. So, guys, you listen to Chicago sports. Rishab, you live in the Chicago suburbs. You follow this story very closely yourself now that you're in the business, Phil. Rishab, let me start with you. What are your thoughts on the Dan Bernstein parting last Friday? Was this justified, or was this something that maybe Bernstein could have avoided, without losing his career?
I mean, it's definitely justified because it's not like a one-time incident. If this is like his first controversial moment ever, then I don't think they should have fired him, because you could have just said, oh, he just had a bad day or whatever. And even if he just had a bad day, like threatening somebody's kids over a fucking fish is like so funny to me. Like I still can't wrap my head around that. But like he's had so many flare-ups over the last couple of years. Like he had the incident with Eddie from Barstool. He's also had a history of like making sexist comments too. I didn't know much about that until recently.
Shocker.
Yeah, he's had he's had a bunch of just like crazy controversial moments, and I feel like he's been super demeaning to like the Chicago fan base too. Oftentimes, I mean, I never really listened to Bernstein's show, so I can't really say as a listener like what he was like. But I know a lot of people did listen to him still, so he did have an audience. And
I did too, on his YouTube channel while I'm at work.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had an audience, so like I gotta respect him for building that audience. But like he just blew it. I mean, I don't know why he did that. His charity even kicked him off. Like, like I don't know if you guys saw, but his charity also like dropped him completely.
He was a director for that one, and Danny Parkins, was upset over that. Him being dropped from the excuse me, him being dropped from the charity's chairman of the board thing there. Phil, I'm gonna give the tables to you. Your thoughts on the Bernstein firing and some of the people on the station who kind of had to address this issue this morning.
All right, first of all, I'd like to say that Dan Bernstein is a piece of shit. Anybody that threatens kids online It's a piece of shit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I encourage everybody that's watching this podcast to tune in to the Professionally Profane episode 3 that we're about to release. I just recorded it, and I just went absolutely off on Dan Bernstein. I'm going to give my basic thoughts here, but my thoughts are much more visceral on that podcast episode. And also Danny Parkins. Anybody that defended this man, and anybody that has a problem with a guy being fired for threatening kids, I have a problem with you. And I have extreme thoughts here. I think that everybody involved that defended Dan Bernstein and Dan Bernstein himself everyone that defended him is wrong. Dan Bernstein is a bad guy, and everybody knows it. And everybody is just being very nice about it. And that's fine, but I'm not willing to pull my punches. Fuck Dan Bernstein. He deserved to get fired. And I'll leave it at that. If you want my real thoughts, my very, very, very profane and visceral thoughts, you'll see the clip on Twitter, or you can tune into my podcast. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, thank you for that. I don't think this is the last time we've heard of Dan Bernstein. I think he might start his own podcast, just like everybody else does nowadays. He might start his own YouTube channel. Who knows? But we're not probably done hearing. Who knows? Maybe he might shock everybody and just appear on ESPN Chicago. Ironically, the station that has strong ties to Barstool Sports. With Barstool Big Cat on Waddle and Sylvie on Wednesdays, I believe. And then the guy that got into an argument. Obviously, he's also a regular on ESPN 1000 as a fill-in host, or also like a podcast recording and so forth. So it'll be interesting. If
sorry to cut you out, but I had the thought: what if Barstool just hires him? Like, it'd be the most like.
No, fuck that. Barstool, I need you to stand up for what's right. Fuck that shit. And also, I think Barstool be the reason. Yeah, it is the ultimate heel move. And I don't want that from Barstool. Barstool, you have the opportunity to be on the right side of the fence right now. Don't let him get hired at ESPN 1000. He doesn't deserve it. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I don't think they will hire him. I think.
Thank God.
Yeah. I'd be really, really shocked.
Let's fucking go, Steven. Don't let him slide.
Okay,
don't let him slide.
Enough with Dan Bernstein talk. But hey, at least it gives us something to talk about, because obviously it's a Chicago sports. All right, so the topic obviously tonight, we're about a month away from the NFL draft, and Rishab and Phil are planning to make their trip out to Green Bay. I am still kind of undecided as if I'm able to make the trip or not. It would be cool. There's no question about that. But I'll see what I can do to facilitate that move, if that's even remotely possible, because it's not easy to get there. If it's Milwaukee or something like that, that's probably a lot easier. But then you're gonna have to travel a little bit up north, from what I'm understanding, guys. That you guys have been to Green Bay. Probably to watch the game. Obviously, finding a place to stay is obviously going to be pretty difficult. Obviously, the lack of hotels that's been widely mentioned in the past. If you go to the Packers game and so forth, what are you guys planning to do up there in Green Bay? Just kind of give us an idea. What are you thinking of?
Rishab,
yeah, go ahead, Rishab.
Yeah, we haven't planned it fully yet. We're gonna plan it soon, but it's gonna be at least me, Phil, his co-host, and a couple other people going up to Green Bay. At least for day one, probably for longer. And yeah, we're just gonna rep the Chicago Bears there. Talk trash.
I hope you guys stay safe out there because it's not an easy place.
Yeah, the draft is always a lot of fun.
Chicago, are they more dangerous in Green Bay than Chicago?
Yeah, but no, I mean, yeah, like you brought up a good point about the lack of hotels and all. Like, that's why I feel like having the draft in Green Bay is not a good idea. Like they should probably have had us somewhere else. Like it would have been much better in Indianapolis, honestly, than Green Bay. Or Chicago. Like they had in Chicago a couple years. I went both years. It was in Chicago. It was so much fun. I wish that could have happened again. But regardless, yeah, we're gonna be there, supporting the Bears, whoever they pick. And if anybody listening wants to, join and meet up there, definitely leave a comment. And we'll probably make a post about this too, closer to the date. So we'll plan it more. But yeah, be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, I've been to draft myself 2018 in Dallas shortly after I moved. And then I've been to one also in 2023 when it was in Kansas. This was also shortly after I moved there for work. So both times, unfortunately, I've been to Saturday, which was day 3 pretty much. That's when the draft excitement is somewhat, kind of gotten over because of the day 1 and day 2. But then because it's Saturday, you can just go there, families, friends, they just go there to enjoy the atmosphere and, the camaraderie. You actually can get, maybe you could see yourself being filmed by either the NFL Network or ESPN while, the draft experts, stand in their booth. Whenever they're on commercial break, they might actually turn around and, you might have a chance to interact or maybe get some, if you're lucky enough, you might get the autograph or something like that from, the draft experts or ESPN or maybe in NFL Network's case, Rich Eisen or somebody like that, or even Adam Schefter. Adam, I think I remember when I was in Kansas City, he had his own booth separately next to, I think, the ESPN booth. So he was like a one-man booth there. So it was actually quite interesting, and everybody was just gathering around behind them. So it was a really cool experience, and if you really could go there, folks, So Back Sports says day 3 is just for vibes. Yes, I totally agree.
My boy.
It's exactly. That's Saturday. That's like the last day of the day. You go there early. You do the 40-yard dash, do the, all kinds of fun stuff, and then because it's day 3, it goes way fast, like 5-minute picks, and then you just keep going and going, and then you have people like who were selected from drawings, fans, announcing the picks and so forth. So it's just like you said, it's just for the vibes. Day 1 and 2 is peak, and then chaos. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to the one in Detroit because I was still in Kansas City at that time. But if you can go, folks, definitely go. I wouldn't recommend skipping class or cancel, skipping work just to enjoy the atmosphere. But anyway, thank you very much for joining us once again through our YouTube as well as the X, mostly from Rishab's YouTube handle. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. All right, guys, let's start talking about the NFL draft. And, draft is about a month away pretty much now. So the free agency period, pretty much, we're done talking about it. So now we have to kind of start talking about the 10th pick, the 39 and 41 and the 72 that the Bears have, 4 picks in the first 75. They have a real shot at getting good players right now. So, Phil, let me start with you. Which player at number 10 right now do you like for the Chicago Bears, offense, defense? Just give me some of the names you like at number 10.
Okay, names. Multiple, more than one.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could definitely give more than one.
Beautiful. I appreciate it because otherwise number 1 I'm going Ashton Genty. Number 2 I'm going Ashton Genty, and number 3 I'm going Ashton Genty. If Ashton Genty is there, I'm taking Ashton Genty. I think we're in win now mode. I think that's what Ben Johnson wants. I think that's what Ryan Poles wants. So if the best running back on the board is there, we're going with him. I really believe that. However, I like other players there. If Mason Graham is there, which I don't think he will be, I love Mason Graham. I get his first name wrong. Armand Membu.
Armand Membu. Yeah.
Okay. Membu and Campbell. Look, either one of those guys, I'm all for it. I know that we already have like the starting 5 of our offensive linemen if Jonah Jackson is going to pan out. But I love Membu as a development project. And if you want him to replace Braxton Jones because you don't want to pay him, or if you want him to replace Joe Tooney or Jonah Jackson in eventual time, I think that Membu's a great pick. Campbell's a little bit lower than Membu for me. I'm good with that. But otherwise, I think I like to trade back. I don't think that there's an edge rusher at number 10 that I think is going to be there that we should take. I love Mike Green, but I think if we want Mike Green, we trade back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me give you some thoughts on the Mike Green. I know Nikhil says tried out for Abdul Carter. We'll get to that in a little bit, but Bears are not in the business of probably moving up that far.
That would cost so much.
Yeah, you probably have to give up at least one of their second-round picks just to move.
I saw this on Twitter. Somebody else posted, but I think it would cost number 39 to go up to like 4 or 5-ish. And I mean, I don't know. I kind of have conflicting opinions about that. Maybe you guys don't want to do it, but I feel like that might be worth it to go up to get Abdul Carter. I mean, he is the best player, I feel like, in the draft this year.
Okay.
I don't even think he's going to be available. So if he's available at number 4 or 5, I think that's a worthy investment.
What do you think it takes?
What's up?
What do you think it takes?
Well,
I think you have to give up at least one of their second-round pick just to move
based on trade value, you can give up 39 and go up to like 4 or 5 with the whoever is up there.
Is Abdul Carter going to be there? You guys think?
That's 4. Let's see. Cam Ward had a workout today down in Miami, and Tennessee and every team out there pretty much was out there. And I know Tennessee was probably, having that number 1 pick, obviously has a strong interest, as is the New York Giants. So Tennessee, I think, will pick Cam Ward, barring a crazy scenario. So Cleveland at number 2, I have a feeling this is going to be very, very interesting. They don't have a quarterback right now, and they're talking about Russell Wilson, but his price might be too high right now, or it could be Kirk Cousins, for Cleveland. So number 2, they might have to settle for, Shedeur Sanders. I know Dion said today their preference is New York or something like that. I don't know how much of a sway that he really has there, but we'll see. So let's just say Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders goes 1 and 2. So that leaves the Giants at number 3.
They did just take famous
interesting
crab legs. Listen,
Travis Hunter, New England number 4 would be a pretty interesting choice there, because if it could be either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. Now, if Abdul Carter slips out of that number 4 spot, and at number 5 it would be Jacksonville.
We're trading up at that point, right?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I've been dealing.
You're all good, yeah.
You're all good, man.
Yeah, I mean, if Abdul Carter is available there, I think that's a worthy gamble. I just don't think if he is available there, I think the Jaguars, whoever's up there, is just going to select him, because it will make no sense to pass on like a top level, edge rusher like that. Those don't come available. I mean, people have compared him to Micah Parsons, so to get like a Micah Parsons level player on this defense would be like fantastic for the Bears. I wouldn't care about giving up 39 or maybe even more beyond that. I know we need more depth on this team, but like this team is ready to win now, so I don't think it would hurt us too much giving up 39.
Yeah, it would be interesting, if Abdul Carter's injury is like, something that many teams look at it and say, we're a little bit concerned. I think we'll find out eventually.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he has worked out just yet. I don't know if there's a I don't think he has worked out just yet. I know he might have been to the combine and they just maybe did some interviews and addressed the injury issues. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Could the Bears actually make that move? It's a bold strategy. There's no question about that. I know some people might not like the idea of giving up a second-round pick to move just that high for a guy who unfortunately has a stress fracture, which obviously is a serious injury, and then it would be a little bit of a concern. But we'll see if the medicals check up and if Penn State whenever they do their pro workouts, which I believe is this is the final week where schools have the pro workouts that NFL teams can actually attend. So that's something definitely to keep an eye out on. All right, so Genty, Mason Graham, obviously, are the top candidates at number 10, but number 10, obviously, if you look at the mock drafts, Genty is obviously the popular name, but if Membu or Campbell, that's probably the scenario that I have, maybe the Bears have them picking at number 10, Membu or Campbell. Rishab, Membu or Campbell, will you be okay with that, or you be a little bit, not excited or disappointed by the selection of an offensive lineman there?
No, I'd be excited. I mean, anytime you add a high-level offensive lineman, you can't be mad at that. I just feel like there's no offensive lineman that could start right away on this team that's going to be available at number 10. I mean, Josh Simmons potentially out of Ohio State, but he has a lot of medical issues. I mean, he got injured last year.
Right.
I saw a mock draft with him being available at pick number 39. Like, if we get him at 39, I'm 100% for that. Yeah, or like trading back to like 20 area, taking him, I'm okay with that. But 10 is probably a little too rich. But yeah, if you look at Membu, like, I don't think he would replace Braxton Jones in year one. Like, as much as I like Membu, he's kind of raw. Like, he's only 20 years old. So whoever you select at 10, if it's offensive line, he's probably not going to play right away, which for a win now team, you kind of question that. But at the same time, O-line depth is always good to have. You see teams like the Eagles, the Packers have multiple first-round linemen on their team. So I wouldn't be mad at it, but it's just a move that I don't think would, add to the roster too much in year one.
Mm-hmm. Phil, what do you think?
I hear all that. I do want to quickly say that I think that Braxton Jones is getting a lot of slander from Bears Nation, and I don't think he's as bad as everybody thinks. Anybody that's watching that doesn't like Braxton Jones, you should hit me up. I have an article that shows you that he's been playing like a round one average talent. However, I also might ask, just because I think that running back, I think that we're in win now mode, as Rishab said. So what if Genty's gone, but Omarion Hampton's still there? I'd like to talk about that on this podcast because I've heard people say that we could take Hampton at 10. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I do think that Hampton will be there, but I'm not going to take Hampton at 10. I kind of wrote out a scenario, the Bears realistic scenario, that the Raiders might be taking Genty at number 6, as high as number 6.
I think that's likely.
Yeah, I think that Pete Carroll got back into the NFL. He's in his late 70s, so he doesn't really. I don't want to say, I don't want people to get this in the wrong way. I don't think he doesn't have much of a time, waiting for a quarterback to be developed. That's why he went out and got, Geno Smith from Seattle, who he is very familiar with.
Yeah. Right.
And then, so you get, you got your quarterback. Now you're going to get a running back. He had Marshawn Lynch, in Seattle, which catapulted them to, like a perennial playoff, and also helped them win a Super Bowl. So I'm not saying Genty is a, Marshawn Lynch clone, but I can see why Pete wants to, have a quarterback that's ready, and then also somebody who's also ready to play right away rather than waiting for a quarterback to develop. That's why I think it would not shock me one bit if they decided to, draft Ashton Genty at number 6 overall, and the Bears will probably, unfortunately, be forced to wait for the running back to be drafted in the second round, 39 or 41. And if thankfully this year's draft is very, very deep on the running back. You could actually get a running back in the second round or even the third round, and there are some very good ones out there. So if Hampton is there, I promise you, I think, another crazy scenario, unless somebody drafts him late in the first round, which obviously could definitely happen because I think after Genty, Hampton seems to be the consensus number 2 running back in most mock draft boards. So, Hampton would be a great choice for me as well. And then you could also get the 2 running backs from Ohio State, and I think either one of them would definitely certainly fit the scheme that Ben Johnson is trying to run. You already have DeAndre Swift still with the team. I think he's not the running back that many thought that would. Largely due to the bad offensive line. So you already have Swift there. I think he will probably mostly somebody that catches the ball out of the backfield or also do some outside runs, hopefully for big gains and stuff like that. But any of the running backs that are available, I think, in my opinion, would certainly fit the description of what the Ben Johnson would do. And it doesn't, and I don't think people have to throw a tantrum just because we didn't draft Ashton Genty, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Well, talking about Hampton, I feel like I'd still be okay with taking him at number 10 if Ben Johnson truly thinks he's a game changer. I know everybody would want to trade back, but I just don't see which team is going to want to trade up. Like, I know all of us want to trade back, but there has to be a team willing to trade up, and I don't see which prospect. Maybe the tight end, maybe like if Shadur Sanders is still there, maybe that could be a trade up opportunity. I just don't see the high level elite prospects for a team to trade up. So if you have super high on your board and you'd be willing to take him at 15 or 17 or 20, I think you might just bite the bullet on that and take him at 10, if you really love him that much. I mean, we saw the Lions do something a little bit similar with trading back, and they got Jahmyr Gibbs, and they obviously traded back, so they got some capital to do that, which was nice. But they took Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12, I think, when a lot of mock drafts had him going in like round 2 or like very late round 1. So,
and look at him now. He's completely changed the Detroit Lions offense. So I'm just not like, I don't think it would be a reach to select him at number 10 just because mock drafts have him going later. Mock drafts are just made by the media, not necessarily what teams think of these players. So it would be interesting for sure. But, obviously if he's, an elite game-changing talent, like I would want him to be on the Bears. I don't care if it'd be a little bit of a reach. But obviously we hope that Ashton Genty is going to be there. And I do think Ashton Genty is going to be there at number 10. Like, I know the Raiders are a threat for that, but if you look at the Raiders roster, they're not ready.
They need help everywhere. They need help on the offensive line, defensive line. They could even use, I guess they couldn't use a tight end. They already have Brock Bowers, but they could use a receiver. They could use like a lot of different players. So I just don't think it would make a lot of sense for the Raiders to select Ashton Genty. And besides that team, I don't see another team willing to select him. Maybe the Panthers, but even the Panthers have a lot of needs on both, especially defensive lines. So, yeah.
I think Broncos also could use a running back too. I know Sean Payton wants explosive playmakers on his offense to, really help complement Bo Nix as their, quarterback moving forward there as well. There's no question about that. With how impactful Saquon has been for the Eagles, all eyes are on the running backs to help them win. Look at how Green Bay's offense was saved due to Jacobs this past season. Yeah, there's no question about that. I think, we definitely have to get a running back one way or the other, whether it's, Genty at 10 or, if Genty, God forbid, goes to Raiders at number 6, which obviously is something that scenario that I think a lot of the Bears fans, unfortunately, would have to kind of prepare for themselves just in case, and then, if Genty is gone, Graham is gone, which I think Mason Graham could go to number 5 at Jacksonville, no later than number 8 at Carolina, if he's still there. Number 6, number 7, Jets. That's a somewhat of an interesting team there. Somebody had
right. They have Breece Hall.
No. I'm not saying the running back. I'm talking Jets right now. I know somebody put Jackson Hart there for some reason. Chad Reuter from NFL.com, which I think is kind of crazy. Aaron Glenn and Darren Mogi, the GM, they're first year of the rebuilding, and I don't know if they're already ready to make that kind of a career-defining move there. So we'll see. Number 7, Jets is an interesting selection there. Number 9, New Orleans. That's a team that's can go anywhere. You could draft Campbell, who's from LSU. They know, who's probably familiar with, obviously playing in LSU, Baton Rouge area. They could also draft a quarterback there, Jackson Dart. They could also go with an edge rusher there, and so forth. Yeah, so the first 9 picks, that's going to be a really, really doozy that could have a massive impact. Go ahead, Phil.
I apologize, Steven. I wasn't trying to cut in.
No.
I think I have a really fun idea. I like the idea of trading back if there's no blue chip prospects there, and I think those blue chip prospects are Mason Graham, Travis Hunter, who's not going to be there. Travis Hunter's there. I don't give a damn who's on our roster. If Travis Hunter or a guy like that is there, you take him. But you Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, everyone knows the blue chip prospects. I don't know if I consider Will Campbell a blue chip prospect. I think he's like borderline because I think he's a guard in the NFL. I think he's a great guard. I think he's a trade back candidate. But here's this idea. With that trade back idea, what if you move back in the first round, you take someone's second round pick, you take Will Campbell late, right? Because I think Membo's going to go ahead of Campbell. So I think Campbell, you get him. What if you get him at like 20? I don't know who's back there. I'm not giving an actual trade scenario, but you pick up an extra second round pick, and then you take Emeka
Egbuka.
Yeah, I can't say his last name. But in the second round, and so you get Will Campbell at like 20, and then or 20 something, and then you get Emeka, and then you still have 2 second round picks to take a defensive lineman and an offensive lineman. If you still want to get, let's say you get Will Campbell, and then also Jordan Simmons falls to 39. You take him at 41. You take Emeka, and now in that extra second round pick, you have something else. That's a draft I can get behind. That's a draft that I'm trying to make out with Ryan Poles on live. So,
dude, this is a draft to trade back. I feel like if you can get some team to trade back and acquire another second round pick, especially the strength of this draft is honestly in the second round, late first round and second round selection.
There's not much of a gap if you get that far. They're all the same.
If you have a lot of selections, it's gonna be good because there's very few blue chippers in this draft. So I totally agree. If there's an opportunity to trade back, I would want Ryan Poles to take it unless Ashton Genty is on the board. Then I would be stay and select Ashton Genty. But aside from Genty and maybe Mason Graham and obviously Travis Hunter, who's not even going to be there, you should trade back for any other player. Totally agree with that. That'd be awesome.
I could definitely see the Bears trading down if, a lot of the blue chippers that they're looking for are gone, which I could definitely see that happening. So this is the NBC Sports mock draft from Connor Rogers. So here's, of course, a number 1. They have Tennessee taking Cam Ward. Number 2, Abdul Carter at number 2. I think having Miles Garrett across and then Abdul Carter could really wreck the
the Giants draft there too.
Right. So the 2 and 3, that's actually the Giants could really decide to move up to number 1. If they want Cam Ward over Shadir Sanders.
I would if I was them.
So number 4, New England. This is where they have Will Campbell going there.
That's my draft. That's the draft I just talked about.
Will Campbell or Amon Membu. I think New England Patriots like either one of those guys. I think they need to have somebody to protect Drake May, just like the Chicago Bears need to protect Caleb Williams long term there. So there's that. I know they spent a lot of money on defense and free agency, so now they're going to have to start beefing up their offensive line again, just like the Chicago Bears did. Here's Jacksonville taking Travis Hunter here. That's an interesting selection there. I could see Travis Hunter maybe going to New England as well. Worst case scenario.
They should want him.
They need a star player, on that team outside of Drake May and maybe a couple of others. They don't have a lot of star power there anymore. So maybe they could draft Travis Hunter and let him play both cornerback and wide receiver. Even that might, unfortunately, shorten his career there. Here's the Raiders. They have Vegas taking Mason Graham off the board right here. That's another, obviously, somebody that Pete Carroll would certainly like. Number 7, here's a wild card here. The Jets taking Tyler Warren. Now, I know some of the mock drafts have the Bears taking Tyler Warren, and we'll get to that once we kind of get to what the Bears are doing at their own selection. Number 8, Carolina Panthers. Mike Green, the edge rusher from Marshall. Makes sense. Number 9 here, Saints. I don't know the first name, but McMillan from Arizona certainly is the receiver, that first receiver taken off the board. And here is the Bears, number 10. They have Genty. Number 39, Josh Simmons. And then number 41, Braden Swinson. And 72, Kevin Winston, safety from Penn State. Obviously from, alma mater of Jaquan Brisker. So, guys, we saw the first 10 picks there. What do you think of the overall top 10 that we kind of went through there? And then when you look at this draft here for the Chicago Bears, how happy will you be with this one?
This would be a dream draft for the Chicago Bears. I mean, to get is by far my number one player I want out of this draft. That would be fantastic. I mean, I'd be doing backflips if we got Ashton Genty, regardless of the.
We're gonna be at the draft, dude. We're gonna be blackout drunk if we get Ashton Genty.
Talking so much shit to Packers fans, saying Ashton Genty all over your defense. So, yeah, Genty is a home run at number 10. I feel like that's a true blue chip player, and to get Josh Simmons at 39 would be just an insane steal. Josh Simmons is in consideration to be a high first-round pick. He would have been if not for his bad injury. So if the Bears got so lucky they dropped to 39, this would kind of remind me of the Bears selecting Tevin Jenkins, honestly, back in 2021, because a lot of people thought Tevin was going to be like a mid-first-round prospect. He falls to day 2 because of injuries. And obviously injuries did impact Tevin Jenkins, so you have to be sure Josh Simmons is going to be healthy for this. But he has the opportunity to have like a redshirt freshman year. Or rookie season, for the Chicago Bears. Like, he's not going to have to play because we already have Braxton Jones. So
perfect.
Really love the first 2 picks. Braden Swinson, I'm not too familiar with him, honestly. Like, I'd have to do more research into him. But adding any edge, I think, would be fantastic. I mean, the Bears need edge help. And then the draft safety is also big time. I mean, the Bears have a sneaky need at safety. Like, Jaquan Brisker gets too often.
He gets dinged up one more time. That's probably like the end.
He might be done. Yeah, in the NFL. So like one bad hit, he's gone. Kevin Byard.
Ironically, he gets replaced by a fellow Penn Stater. So that's a
I wonder if
that's such life in the NFL.
I wonder if Jaquan Brisker knows him even. I mean,
I bet he does.
2022.
I bet he does. I bet he does. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I really love the draft, home run draft.
Yeah, so Braden Swinson, I think, is a one-year starter at LSU. Obviously, that team is very loaded. Obviously, on both sides of the ball, always recruiting 4 or 5 starters, 4 or 5 star recruits all over the country, pretty much, especially in the South. EJ Schneider, who I think some of you are very familiar with, follow on Twitter at Football EJ. By the way, he will be my guest Friday night. I'll be talking a lot of I'm talking with him at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, because the EJ lives up northwest. We're gonna try and accommodate his time there, probably for about a little over an hour to talk about the NFL offseason and then the upcoming draft there too. I know EJ himself is very, very high on Braden Swinson, so I will hope to talk to him and get more info on why he is so high on Swinson. I know Swinson is a pretty highly rated players among the draft experts on Twitter as well. So, if this draft really, really pans out like this is, without having to move up and down, I think this is a super, super draft for Chicago Bears, in my opinion, guys.
Absolutely. The only person that the only thing I might switch around, I can't remember his name right now. I like that safety from Notre Dame. I talked about him on a podcast.
Oh, Xavier Watts. Yeah.
Yes. I think that he's solid. I like safeties that are smart because safety is a lot about instincts and a lot about studying and a lot about, knowing your keys. I think that could be really cool. Really cool. I think it could be a really productive safety. I also like Powell Ryland from Virginia Tech. So he had 25 and a half sacks in the last 2 seasons. I talked about him as well. I think that he's an underrated player. He has certain statistics and certain measurables that are actually somewhat comparable. To Abdul Carter. They're not as good as him. Not trying to say that, but I'm saying that he could be a fun pickup. So you could see, I could see that flip flopped. But this draft is amazing. Josh Simmons is a perfect pickup for the Bears in the second round. I love that pickup because if you don't really want to pay Braxton, and I totally get that, because you want to spend that cap money on something else, I don't think it's a skill thing. It's just a cap thing. I think that this is a great draft. And if you get Ashton Genty, this is a top 5 Bears offense potentially next year. That's my opinion on that.
I think so. If this draft plays out this way, I think the Bears get a massive, massive upgrade on every position that they needed to hit. And then, getting Genty at 10, which I think seems like a remotely possible now. Again, unless either the Raiders or somebody else move up to get him. So we'll wait and see what happens. And then they get the Simmons. Again, like Rishab said, he better test out very well. The fact that he drops all the way to 39 means that the NFL teams aren't comfortable with his recovery time or the long-term impact of the injury that he might have, that he suffered. So, this is going to be a very, very interesting test. If Simmons, does test out well, I know that there's going to be a workout, Ohio State workout this week, which I do believe that he said that he is ready to test out there. So, make sure to keep an eye out on, Twitter. And when Ohio State does do their workouts, they got plenty of prospects that they're going to have to, look to. Another guy that I think Bears fans are probably familiar and probably need to do a little bit of a deep dive is JT Tuimoloau, who is the defensive end, as well as his teammate Jack Sawyer. The bookends who made their presence and led the Ohio State to the national championship with their performance. And so this is going to be a very, very interesting draft, how it plays out. If this is how it turns out, I think a lot of fans will be doing, backflips or cartwheels or whatever the heck they want to do.
I'll make Rishab do a backflip.
Oh, man. 5 weeks after my hernia surgery, I'll be fully healed by then.
Listen, if I do a backflip, I might break my neck, and then the country's gonna be paying for my disability forever. Do you want that on your conscience, man?
Yeah, if they're paying for disability forever.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Fair enough.
My guest tonight is Rishab Skiri from the YouTube's the Windy City channel Productions. Phillip Charles VanDerHeyden from Profound Podcast. Now that you can find it on YouTube as well as Spotify there as well. Guys, some of the mock drafts are now starting to have the Bears drafting tight end Tyler Warren from Penn State, who is a Mackey Award for tight ends that they get. Very, very productive season. All-American, rightfully so. He's a very versatile weapon. Do you like the idea of taking a tight end like Warren at 10, or is that like too rich for you guys? Rishab, let me start with you.
Yeah, I'll go first. I don't know, man. I don't really love the idea, if I'm being honest, because I'm a bigger Cole Kmet fan than maybe some people out there. I really think he can be I think he is a top 10 tight end in the NFL. If you already have a top 10 tight end, I just don't see how it makes sense to spend another really high pick on a tight end. And I think if we really wanted another tight end, Brock Bowers would have been a much better pick last year. Brock Bowers is an even better prospect than Tyler Warren is, and we didn't select him last year when we already had Keenan Allen and DJ Moore under contract. So I don't think Ryan Poles wants to move off of Cole Kmet at this point. And it just obviously 12 personnel is a thing. Like, teams use 12 personnel, but like you're not going to be in 12 personnel like all snaps. Like I think you're basically kicking Cole Kmet out of town if you select Tyler Warren at number 10, because I don't think 2 star tight ends can exist in the same system in most. I mean, maybe I could be proven wrong, but I don't think it would make a lot of sense to select a tight end that high.
Well, the closest I think we can all kind of think of is New England when they had Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez at one point before.
I love that.
We all know what happened with Hernandez, but that's probably like the closest thing I can think of. But Phil, Tyler Warren at 10, with Genty, Graham, and other guys are gone. Will you be excited about that, or will you be like, nah, tight ends don't do for me?
So I'm going to be consistent here because last year I wrote an article that the Bears should have selected Brock Bowers, and it wasn't because of anything with Cole Kmet. It was everything to do with what Brock Bowers was as a football player, and I believe that the right coach could utilize him in a way that would make him and Cole Kmet both utilizable at the same time. I think we could do that the same way on the Bears, especially with Ben Johnson. I wouldn't be mad at it. If we take Tyler Warren, what that tells me is that Ben Johnson has figured out a way to utilize both Cole Kmet and Tyler Warren at the same time and make them both dangerous. So I think if that's the case, I'm good with it. I think Tyler Warren's a little more of a playmaker than Cole Kmet. He's not as good as Brock Bowers. I don't want to put that out there because Brock Bowers is special. He is a special football player.
Right.
But I think that Tyler Warren could be utilized in 2 tight end sets. I think you could probably utilize him at H-back. I think you could, because I mean he is a dangerous weapon as well. He's not just a blocker. So I think that you could. I don't want to relegate Cole Kmet to just blocking duties because I think he's better than that, especially in the red zone. But I think that you could make it work with both of those guys being a big part of your offense where they're both getting big snaps, if that's what Ben Johnson wants. Look, I'm totally of the mind that at this point I totally trust Ben Johnson's vision. If we take him, I'm going to ride with him.
Only, I want to say.
No, go ahead, Rishab. Sorry about that.
I just want to say one thing. So I totally agree with Ben Johnson. Like, he has used 2 tight ends a lot in the past, but like the tight end 2 of the Lions offense last year, I think it was Brock Wright. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but he's not as good as these guys, right?
No, that's my point I'm trying to make. Like, I feel like
he's an
elite tight end 2, but at the same time, that could make his offense even better than what it was with Detroit. And like, obviously, every offense is different. So I wouldn't be opposed to it for sure, but me personally, it's just like a little bit too rich for me. Like, I feel like there's better uses of that pick. But if he's a top level playmaker, I'm not gonna cry about it. If he does have a lot of production rookie year for the Chicago Bears.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm sorry that you were going in the direction to support that pick. I apologize.
No, go ahead. Finish your thoughts.
No, I was just gonna say I'm sorry that I cut Rishab off because I thought he was about to say that basically like Brock Wright would be one of these 2 tight ends, and I was just saying I apologize for not respecting your ball knowledge, Rishab. I know you did better.
No problem, guys. So Ben Johnson, by the way, this is written by Nicholas Moriano for I think a lot of Bears fans who follow the Bears Twitter and then also the reporters. He has joined BearGogglesOn.com. For those who are like, damn, what happened to Nick? He unfortunately was let go from CHGO late last year, and now he has landed with BearGogglesOn.com, where I also happen to be a contributor. And Phil also was at one point before he transitioned to new venture, correct?
Yes. I mean, I hope to return at some point, but yeah, I mean, with the Army still being a big part of my life, I'm unable to do all of those things, but I will return to writing. And yeah.
So if you always enjoyed following Nick, you could follow him here on BearGogglesOn.com, where I am also a regular contributor as well. Nick actually posted a new article recently that Ben Johnson was at the Michigan Pro Day. And if you follow college football really, really well, folks, Michigan is very much loaded. They won the national title in 2023. The year later, this past season, they were obviously lacking quarterbacks, and a lot of players ended up going to the pros. Finished with a disappointing 7-5 season, but they still have a lot of talent there. Obviously, Ben Johnson was there, as was defensive coordinator Dennis Allen there. If Graham somehow makes it to the Bears at number 10 with Genty and everybody else is still there, the big names, certainly that's somebody that, Bears would definitely have to focus on. Graham is not the kind of prospect that is all of a sudden, he's getting dinged up because of his size, his arm length, and all that kind of stuff there too. But I think Allen would probably definitely have have a say for a guy like Mason Graham. I'm sure Allen and Ben Johnson went there to look at the both offense and defensive prospects that they have there. Another tight end that they have there, Colston Loveland, who's a very, very good player, a little younger than obviously Tyler Warren that we were just talking about from Penn State. That's another name that certainly Ben loves, maybe Loveland's upside more so than Warren. That's another guy to be considering. And then another guy, of course, Mason Graham's teammate, Kenneth Grant. That's another interesting option that guys, a lot of the draft nicks are certainly, starting to prop him up. He's one of those players who might be a better player once he gets to the NFL level than he was at college, provided that he gets the right coaching and he's also motivated to make himself a better player there. Guys, what do you think about Ben Johnson's appearance in Michigan? And, do you buy into these types of things just to maybe that Johnson is looking at the Michigan players a little more closely than anybody give them credit to?
You want to go first?
Sorry, Rishab, let me start with you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, the Bears are going to attend a lot of pro days, so I don't think it matters like a great deal that they're there, but it is interesting for sure. I mean, like you mentioned, like they have a couple defensive line options there. Mason Graham, if he's available in number 10, or even if the Bears trade up for him, I think he is one of the true blue chippers that's going to add to this defensive line and make it like more of like an elite defensive line. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure Ben Johnson realizes just the importance of winning in the trenches. I mean, with the Detroit Lions, he won games there largely based in the trenches. I mean, the Lions had one of the best offensive lines. He had to go up against some good defensive lines as an OC. So yeah, I mean, either of these guys would be pretty amazing for the Bears to select.
Phil, do you buy into these visits like that the Bears are maybe looking at these guys more closely and maybe we might have to kind of get a hint on what the Ben Johnson and his staff wants?
I think it's I mean, I think that's a solid point. I think that here's my thing. I think that Big Ten offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and linebackers are great players to pick up. Running backs as well, tight ends. Right. I think that any Big Ten player that is like in the trenches or doing anything physical is a solid pick. Everyone falls in love with the SEC.
You can't go wrong.
No. Everyone falls in love with the SEC, but I think that they're more preferable for skill players. I think when it comes to linemen, you can't go wrong with a rugged, tough Big Ten lineman or a Big Ten linebacker. So yes, with Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham, I think that either of those players would be big boons to our defensive line. I don't think that I don't know if they start. It's hard to say Mason Graham doesn't start. I don't know, how that all works out, but we just watched the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl by having a rotating line that was putting pressure on the quarterback no matter who was in the game.
Exactly.
So I'm all for anything that involves, like, if we get Mason Graham at 10, that's a steal. That's an absolute steal. I mean, I don't know if he could play the one. At that point, maybe you teach Gervon Dexter to play the one. Are you bringing Grady Jarrett off the bench? All that is very interesting, but I think that they all get good snap counts. So I'm all for it. I think there is something to read there.
Yeah, absolutely. they got three different prospects that could definitely all go in the first round. Obviously, Graham is rated higher. Kenneth Grant has started to get traction as they maybe mid to late first round picks. I know somebody probably posted, David Peters posted something about, trade back for Walter Nolan. That's a different, obviously Nolan or Kenneth Grant will be like a good fallback option. Grant is obviously a different player. He's more like a massive 6'3", like 330, 325, 330. He's a massive guy. And, he's an incredible run stopper, one technique guy, maybe nose tackle. So, he definitely needs a lot of coaching, not only to maybe get in shape, but also maybe, harness his pass rush move, if he wants to be, just more than a run stopper too. So, it has to be, a plan in place for a guy like Kenneth Walker to be developed into, a decent defensive tackle. If you're talking about somebody who's probably ready from day one, that's Mason Graham. But maybe like a long-term potential and an option, Kenneth Grant would probably be like a good fallback option if the Bears decide to trade down. Whether it's Grant or Walter Nolan, I think the Bears definitely need edge rusher as well as the somebody in that interior line. They need a little bit of a depth there. Andrew Billings coming off a torn bicep. Grady Jarrett they signed is 32 years old, so you can't really count on those guys to be there at 100% all the time. So interior pass rush or interior depth would need to be taken into like a consideration for the Chicago Bears. Now, if speaking of trading down, guys, how far do you think that the Bears are willing to move down? One scenario I have is if Tyler Warren is at 10, if somebody wants to move up, I would seriously listen. And I think Miami at 13, I know some people have mocked Warren there at 13, but if the Bears are number 10, and then the Colts could also move up for Tyler Warren too, because they need a excuse me, a reliable weapon for whoever the quarterback is, whether it be Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. They need another weapon, like a reliable tight end there. How far do you think you're willing to move down if you're the Chicago Bears? Phil, how far would you like to move down?
If you can move down just like a few spots and get a guy like Walter Nolan or Kenneth Grant, I think that's awesome. I think that's a great spot for the Bears to draft. I mean, you're going to pick up an extra pick, and you're going to still probably get the guy that you want. If the guys that you don't want at 10 are still, if you like you said, Tyler Warren's still there at 10, but they decide they want to ride with Cole Kmet and the guys that they have right now, Darren Smythe or whatever is their tight end too, whatever. Then that's I think that's a great option. You got to go best player available, and if the best player available is still going to be there when you're going to pick when you trade back, that's the trade that you make every single time. I mean, that's what we did with Darnell Wright and Jalen Carter. Everybody wanted us to take Jalen Carter, but honestly, we fleeced the hell out of the Eagles with that trade because we weren't going to take Jalen Carter. We didn't have the guys on the team to mentor Jalen Carter like they did. So they could have stayed right at number 9. I think it was number 9, and we were number 8, or we were number 9 and they were number 10, one of the two. And, they could have stayed where they were and still got Jalen Carter, but we picked up an extra 4th rounder. I mean, that's the kind of trade that winning GMs make. So I'm all for all of that.
Oh, by the way, I apologize there. But Rishab, how far were you looking to move down if you're the Bears and Ryan Poles?
You can move down anywhere, honestly. Like if you move down past 10, I really feel like 11 to like even 30 are like almost the same this year in terms of like draft like value for the players.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I would not be mad if they get another 2nd round pick to move all the way down to like 20 or like
right,
or even somehow get a 1st round pick for next year. I don't think anyone's going to trade a first for next year to move up this year. But you never know. I mean, if Shadur Sanders is available at number 10,
that's possible.
You never know. I mean, the Bears traded the first round pick to move up for Justin Fields, and that was like 20 to 11 or something like that. Like
great pull there. That's a great
it
pull.
happens. Yeah, it always happens like every year, especially with the how desperate teams are for quarterbacks. Maybe the Steelers do that somehow. I highly doubt it. But yeah, I mean, I'm cool with trading wherever, guys. Like I don't really care as long as Ashton Genty is not on the board. Like you can trade back however far you want to.
Bang. I agree with that. I just want to add on that, like, every single year, there's a player or two players or three players that fall that nobody thought was going to fall before because we don't actually know all of these teams' plans. And some of these teams are bad evaluators.
Right. We've seen that, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, it just happens. We've seen it as Bears fans, right? We've seen it for us, and then we've seen it for other teams. So every year there's someone that falls. I mean, I think there's someone guaranteed to be there at 39 that we didn't think was going to be there. So
I think so. Yeah.
So I feel the same way about 10 potentially. So whether we take that guy or we trade back, I think that this draft, I think that it's going to be a true collaboration between Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles. So I think that anything that we do right now, we should ride with guys. We should trust the vision. Because what we've seen in this free agency is that Ben Johnson ain't playing around, and neither is Ryan Poles. It's win now time, so we should ride with it.
Hell yeah.
Jerome Munoz, Mason Graham won't fall past the Jags. I agree. I think we were
he shouldn't
a little bit earlier. Graham at 5. The furthest I think he will drop is I think Carolina at 8. If Graham is at 8 available still. For Carolina at number 8, I would just run and then just turn this card in. I think that's like the floor for Graham to go that far. I'd be shocked if he goes that far. So, it's an interesting debate to have. For the Bears fans. Rishab, would you take Graham, Genty, if they're still there at 10? Who are you picking?
You said if both of them are there at 10?
Yeah.
That's a tough question because Genty is like, I want him pretty badly on this Bears team, but at the same time, the defensive line is like the trenches are always going to be more important to me, but I really don't know, man. Like, I think both of them are blue chip prospects, so I would not be mad at either, but I just think the Bears could still get a really phenomenal edge at pick number 39. And I'm not sure you can get another Ashton Genty at pick number 39. I mean, there's some good running backs, don't get me wrong, but like Quinshon Judkins, Trevion Henderson, Caleb Johnson, I don't put them in the same caliber of player as Ashton Genty still. Like, even if they're good, they're not going to be elite, in my opinion, like Genty will be. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think that'd be a dream scenario for the Bears to fall into, but, Bears can't really lose if they're in that situation.
I have a stat for you guys. I would like, actually, before I give you the stat, I'd like to know, how many tackles do you think that Ashton Genty forced to miss last year?
Oh,
if you had to guess.
I don't even know what like a baseline is for that. Like what does the average player get? Like
average, I mean, honestly, like a 50 missed tackles is a good year for most running backs. So how many do you think he had?
Like 60, 65?
What do you think, Steven?
I'm guessing probably 70, close to 70.
He forced 152 missed tackles last year.
What? 152 in one season?
152 in a single season.
Wow.
Period.
That's usually, some of it has to come from like a contact being made where he basically run over a tackler or he just basically run past everybody. Those types of things, right?
I would have to look into that more, but I would have to look into that stat more, but it was what I heard when I heard this. It was from a reputable source. I can't remember the exact name off the top of my head, but it was forced missed tackles. So I don't think it was simply just someone whiffing. I think it was like him breaking tackles. Like, that's how special this dude is. Like, 152 in the same video that I watched, 152 forced missed tackles is what a lot of guys have for their entire collegiate careers. And this dude had it in 1 year. I'm just saying, man, everybody who thinks he's not exceptional or not generational, I think you're doing it because, one, he's from Boise State. Right. And two, he's smaller. Okay, that's
right.
all.
5'8", 5'9" I believe. Yeah, somewhere along that range. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, but so was Barry Sanders, and who forced missed tackles more than that man, other than our guy Walter Payton. I mean, right. I'm just saying, Ashton Jeanty is the win now pick. Period.
Yep. Well, we'll find out. Because I don't think nobody's complaining about Ben Johnson's influence in the Bears front office. Now, usually when head coaches start to kind of delve into personnel decisions, it usually means that the general managers don't get along or they're in trouble. We've seen that with 30 years ago when Dave Wanstead got the personnel decision, and that kind of turned into like a massive disaster. And most recent example, the Raiders with John Gruden in Tampa Bay as well. He got run out when Tampa Bay started to dip a little bit, and then when he came back, he had all the power. He and Mike Mayock obviously didn't see eye to eye, and then Gruden obviously with the self-inflicted stuff with the racist emails and all that other stuff. But his draft picks, even after the Bears traded for Khalil Mack and they got the the first round picks and the extra picks that they had, none of them even stuck around, unfortunately. So you don't want the head coaches kind of start to stick his head into college scouting and all that other stuff. So let's see if this I don't want to say the honeymoon period, but so far it seems as though Ben Johnson's influence is making a positive impact if you watch what happened in the free agency so far, because it forced Ryan Poles to go and be aggressive when fixing the offensive line. So let's see what kind of an impact that Ben Johnson has in this draft. Certainly, that's Bears watching. How do you feel, guys, about Warren if he's there at 10? Jerome, well, we actually touched about this. Warren at number 10. Let's close out on this one since Jerome was asking about it. You're okay with it, right, Rishab? If he's there, maybe not.
I mean, yeah, like I'm not gonna complain, but he's not my favorite pick. I would say, like, I wouldn't be ecstatic. I would say, right, just because I just don't like. I mean, like, I guess it could work out. Like, it's worked out in some instances in NFL history, right, but it's really hard to incorporate two tight ends as much as people like think it could happen. But I'd be okay with it if Ben Johnson wants it.
Phil, you okay with it, Tim? Too?
Yes. I do think that it's a little. For me, it depends on what offense you want to form, right? Right. If you take Tyler Warren, then you're going to form an offense where Tyler Warren and Cole Kmet are all over the field. It doesn't always have to be a two tight end set. You could put a guy like Tyler Warren at fullback. He's not actually a fullback, but he's going to go off.
He actually did play fullback in maybe like a quarter, like a wildcat formation, also through a pass as well. Last year too. So
right. So all I'm saying is, if we take him, that means that's what our offense is going to be formed around. So I'm all for it. Like Rishab said, though, there are guys that I think that I would rather have. But if we take Tyler Warren, that means that Ben Johnson says, "Hey, man, guess what? I've got the goods drawn up." So if that's what happens, I'm good with it.
Right. I would be like, I touched on this. Miami or Indy could probably want Tyler Warren bad enough that they want to move up to number 10. We'll see. If Indy or Miami offers a third and a fifth round pick, I would take that in a heartbeat if they want Tyler Warren, so that the Bears can still move down and maybe get somebody else in the 13 or 14 range, where that's Miami and Indy pick 13 and 14 consecutively. So one of those teams will probably want to move up and say, you know what, we want Tyler Warren. And if somebody's bad enough to say offer a second round pick, I would bait those teams into, wanting Tyler Warren for the bidding war. So we'll see what happens. That's how I see it. And thanks for Jerome for asking us that question. So guys, any final thoughts on the Bears and what kind of moves that they might be interested in, any prospects that we might be overlooking right now? Phil, do you want to any final words on this?
Just that if we took Mike Green, I wouldn't be mad about it. I think that Mike Green, his speed to power is really good. I also don't want to leave this podcast without mentioning James Pierce Jr. I think that he's also really, really good. I think you could trade back a couple spots and get him. I really like your idea, Steven, where like if Miami wants Tyler Warren, you trade back a few spots and then you pick up a guy like Mike Green, and that guy is or James Pierce Jr., and those guys are both going to contribute for you. I will preface what I'm saying about Mike Green by saying you got to make sure that his off the field stuff is not going to affect him. But otherwise, yeah, man, I'm pumped for this draft. I really don't think that whatever we do is going to be bad. I think it's going to be a positive towards Ben Johnson's vision, and that's what we should want as Bears fans.
Yeah, I agree. No matter who they pick, I think the Bears will have a solid plan. And
can you believe you're saying that? Can you believe that? How many times have you said that in your life?
No, I mean, draft is usually, it's a crapshoot. No matter who you're rooting for, who they pick. There's always going to be some people, find a way to complain about it. And I've done my fair share. As a fan from afar, watching it from afar. I've actually cussed. When my favorite player had been taken, several picks ahead of the Bears or whatever. So it's understandable. OI Grant from small school, I think it's William and Mary, looks good for a third rounder. Yeah, there are some good developmental wide receiver, like an O-line prospect that the Bears certainly have to kind of draft and develop. We'll definitely have to kind of keep an eye out on the, some of the lesser guys out there too. It's not just a Power 5 or a Power 4 now because Pac-12 is gone. So there are some good, prospects in a smaller schools, Division I, AA or whatever. So, Jerome, thanks for mentioning that as well. Well, guys, listen, thank you for your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Almost 1,000 people, as always. These are almost 973. But of course, a lot of that 99% of the people coming from basically from Rishab's channel and X there. So Rishab, thanks for the
anytime.
For the
Thanks,
I appreciate also the guests. A lot of comments and engaging ones. I appreciate it. I'm sorry if I overlooked some of them. Really, really appreciate the asking questions there, guys. Look forward to doing another one maybe in a couple of weeks, and certainly we'll have a better idea as we get into April. There might be some chatters, and there might be some more campus visits by both Brian Poles, Dennis Allen, and of course Ben Johnson himself at other places. So we look forward to it, and we look forward to discussing more on the next live stream. For Rishab Skiri, Phillip Charles VanDerHeyden, I'm Stephen Negishi. Thank you very much. And I apologize. I had to mute myself multiple times as I'm dealing with a cold that I got from work. I apologize, guys. There. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you. By the way, again, one more time, this Thursday, I'm having a live stream with Alex Pat from Cubby Crib to talk about the Cubs and the 2025 baseball season. And then Friday, as I touched earlier, EJ Schneider, who does a great work. He's also somebody that Bears fans are very familiar with his work with Brett Coleman from Bootleg Football Channel on YouTube. I'll have him on this Friday to delve further into the NFL draft as well from a Bears perspective as well. So if you're joining us tonight, hopefully you will join me this upcoming Friday as well as Thursday's show with Alex to talk about the Cubs and the MLB season this year. Have a wonderful evening, guys, and take care. And we look forward to seeing you next time. We'll definitely let you know when we go on live with Phil and Rishab next time. Have a great night and have a great week, everybody. Take care, everybody.